Hi, and welcome to the Colorado Giants G-Men show. In Denver, come upstairs to the Tavern at Platt Park. In Boulder, come downstairs in the basement of the Lazy Dog, the G-Men Den, where we'll be watching all the games at both of those locations. So the Giants finish their two-game Texas tour as they take on the Texans at 11 o'clock tomorrow, which is Sunday, 9/20, September 23rd in Houston. The Texans and the Giants are both two of seven teams that are 0-2. That's winless through two games. And the Texans do have a much more balanced attack. They have a much more balanced team than the Giants. And according to the Vegas, the two best chances to actually have a chance at making the playoffs are the Texans and the Giants. So these are the two best 0-2 teams. The Giants look a lot like they did last year, though, with a solid D and no offense. So when the Giants have the ball and the Texans are on D, the O-line will be without their starting and their best offensive lineman, Jalapio, for the remainder of the season. So get used to Greco, who's going to take over those duties. The Giants' offense is just awful. It runs up and down the roster. You can't necessarily just blame one group. They've given up 8 sacks of Eli, 8 in 2 games. They're ranked 29th in the NFL in points and 28th in total yards. Houston's D is slightly above average in everything except for generating pressure. The Texans have only been able to muster up 1 sack over the first. That can't be right. It's got to be 3 sacks over the first few games of 2 games of the season. This may be exactly what the doctor ordered for this offensive line to regain its confidence after last week's atrocious performance. What will the Giants have to do? Protect Eli Manning. We can't continue to give up sacks. Giants signed a new fullback, Elijah Penny, to help out in that role. And the other thing the Giants have to do is get yards and points. The Giants scored 20 points only 6 times last season, and they have failed to do so so far this year. Now, when the Texans have the ball and the Giants are on defense, the Giants D will have to put in work without 2 of their stars. Olivier Vernon, who hasn't played all season with an ankle injury, will continue to be out for this game. He's been ruled out. And Eli Apple, who left last week with a groin injury, is also ruled out for this game. The Giants D has been pretty solid, actually. They've given up very little yards. They're ranked 5th in the NFL in total yards with 301 per game. They're 4th in the NFL in rushing yards with 137 and a half per game. And they're 2nd in the NFL in passing yards, giving up a very small 164 yards through the air. We'll have to see how they respond without Eli Apple for the full game. The D does have its flaws, though, only getting 1 sack, which is dead last in the NFL. Still waiting on Olivier Vernon to get back. I keep saying this week after week, we need OV back. And they've also given up 40 points in the first 2 games, which is 22nd in the league. So they don't give up. They're very stingy with yards, but then they give up points like crazy, which obviously it's more important to not give up points than the yards. The good news is the Texans give up almost as many sacks as the Giants. So even without Olivier Vernon, the Giants should get a few. The Texans don't have a balanced attack. They do not. They're ranked 1st in the league for rushing yards, so we do need to stop the run. They got 157 and a half yards per game on the rushing side of the ball, but they're ranked 20th in the NFL for passing at 223 and a half. What do the Giants have to do? Stop the run and the read option. Lamar Miller is the 6th ranked rusher in the NFL with 166 yards through 2 games. Deshaun Watson, the Texans QB, also has 42 yards. I know I've spoken at length in the week 2 wrap up on how the Giants just don't know how to stop the read option. So you got to be careful of this one. Stay in containment. And then make Deshaun Watson beat you with his arm. The passing game with the Texans is weak, and so the Giants will need to generate some pressure to make Deshaun feel uncomfortable. Thank you for watching the Colorado G-Men show. We'll see you at the Tavern in Platt Park and at the Lazy Dog. Go Giants!